teams. That's more than OMG, for example, consistently. So if they can continue to draft aptly and actually play call around the champions they've got, play proactive, whatever the lineup, that's a scary team that might assault the real top places in this league.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens here in our first draft. King versus IG here. King on the blue side to kick things off. IG over on the red. We have a Lissandra band there first for King, followed by Rumble there by IG.
I mean, the last member that we haven't really talked about, Kid, has also really stepped up this season. Been one of the top performing AD carries. In the previous lineups, when they were known for their aggression, he was the controlled person. He was always the one at the back of the fight when all the turret diving was happening from the other members. So maybe he's benefited from the steadier heads in Kakao and Rookie. I mean, his Corki, I think, is the one that really stands out. That's a pick that has to be respected. And there's a lot of Corkis out there. I mean, Deft's Corki, Tails Corki, even from Gamti, very impressive. So that's a champion pick that I want to see IG be denied, for King to pick that away.
Well, we'll see Kid take great performances on Sivir as well. Just been very consistent, but even better than he was in previous seasons just by experience. So bans do continue now as well. Jana banned there for King. Now banned out by IG. So lots of standard stuff here. Apart from the Rumble, nothing particularly unusual.
And Rumble's been on a lot of winning teams. It's been a very highly contested pick. Kind of makes sense to ban it out. I mean, leaves the Jarvan up. Of course, Jarvan Rumble, one of the most popular combos. Jarvan Nah. I mean, Jarvan's kind of been a key pick, so leaving it up here, still probably going to be snapped up, but not those innate synergies with those other top laners.
Yeah, we'll see here as well. So we've got Cassidy in the last ban there for King. And this ban phase taken quite a while. Both teams really considering what picks they want. IG got 20 seconds left for their last one now.
There's a lot available. I mean, Ahri on the red side, I think, stands out as a really important ban just because it's so safe, especially on patch 5.2, still up to full power compared to live. It's such a safe blind pick that it kind of removes the ability to counter pick with your last fifth pick on the red side, because you can just happily pick Ahri and know that, look, it'll at least be a skill matchup. That's kind of the buzzword you use for every Ahri matchup. But it's very safe. The Nidalee's open and snapped up instantly by King.
Yeah, the last ban was Rek'Sai actually there from IG, so very different. And King taking the Nidalee, could go mid, could go top, but probably going to be there in the jungle for MLXG. He's played, a lot of Rengar, a lot of Lee Sin. Hasn't really shown that much, but a very different champion now for him.
Yeah, it would definitely be a big change from the Lee Sin. That's kind of been the standout pick, at least from my watchings of King. It could be the Nidalee mid. I feel like the only Nidalee matchup people are opting into is the LeBlanc, which on the one hand, it's a painful matchup for Nidalee, but on the other hand, she's always been considered as a champion that outscales LeBlanc in terms of having longer range poke in the team fight. Potentially more burst if you go into Cougar form, but riskier option there. But it's a safe-ish laning phase with the heal. So it's a flex pick. That's been the big word in the LPL. I mean, at this point, even Morgana's a flex pick. It feels like every draft, there's almost 5 members, especially when OMG is playing and locking in Maokai support. They're all flex picks.
Yeah, we'll see that IG go with Morgana, that flex pick, and the buy as well, of course. Flandre from Snake, loving the top Morgana recently, but probably support jungle there for Invictus Gaming. We'll see how that develops. And Kakao, again, going back to a bit of what we're starting to see from now. It is Vi, not this Lee Sin, not super aggressive jungle. It's just going to a straight old level 6 jungler.
One thing that this shouts out to me, though, we see Morgana and Vi locked in. Of course, hyper carry here will be super, super safe. Of course, Vi is the great blocker picks against a hyper carry, but if you pick Morgana, you have that defensive option against the Assault and Battery. Now, whatever the engaged target, you could go for basically any AD carry and be pretty happy they'd be safe. Kallista's available here. That's a big mention here. Kallista's really been rocking the LPL this season, and potentially IG could pick it up.
Yeah, we'll see, but King actually went for Azir there for Assassin, one of his best performing champions, if not his best. And Sivir there actually coming through for Whoosh. So another good champion of his, and IG now going to see what they want to go through. You mentioned Corki. That is the hover here from Kid, but they've got some choices to make. Aurelia is the first one there that's going to be Pokemon's champion. Kind of weird to not see the Maka, but it is going to be Aurelia Corki.
His Aurelia has been almost as impressive as his Corki. His Aurelia has been almost as impressive as Maokai, which of course has been his standard pick here. The Corki, it's a little bit of a surprise to me just because they look like they had a comp set up to help a hyper carry. But doubling down on the mid game, they have a really strong mid to late game team comp here. Not the sheer late game, but to be honest, there's mid game flavor across the board with the Nidalee Sivir on the blue side, and of course now the Vi Morgana on the red side.
Yeah, we see a lot of this just on this patch. It's not even certain teams that are really shifting, but games are a little bit slower. Mid games are very important. It seems where most teams are prioritizing their picks, and King are going to maybe try and shore that up. Is Sky looking at potentially a very tanky member in towards that top side, and it is going to be Nidalee jungle as a result. We've got Mundo and Braum, the last two lock-ins for King.
I like Mundo against Aurelia just because you do actually naturally itemize health, which of course is the best itemization choice against Aurelia's true damage. And you do reach a point where Aurelia realistically can't 1v1 you in the late game. But of course, this is an IG team full of mid-game threat with the Vi, with the Corki rotations coming out with Trinity Force. Committing to the late game, that's a risky option from King, a team that's been actually quite shaky when in the early game phase, which has traditionally been one of their strengths.
Yeah, and pretty insane that the last pick drops so late here, but Rookie just gets Ari 5th pick. You talked about it on blue side. It's a very good first pick, but to have it drop through last on red side is pretty crazy.
And I guess, I mean, it could just be that Assassin's not a big Ari player. I mean, it's so good against the meta picks. We talked, I mean, how many times have we cast games with Azir, Xerath, even Azir versus Xerath? And Nidalee's, Ari's a fine pick against either of them. So for it to fall out 5th pick on 5.2 before the live nerfs have come through, it feels like IG have won this draft, barring some mid-game execution errors, allowing Dr. Mundo to really scale up and get strong.
Yeah, and Rookie's a massive Ari player there as well. Loves that champion. And Rookie's champion pool pretty deep as far as champion pools for Midlands go. He plays a lot here, but crazy to me to see what happened. IG, though, very strong mid-game. We're not going to see, you know, the maybe one-off super poke comp that they played in the last game, but again, they've been playing very measured, very reserved, using their power spikes effectively. They've got lots of good champions to work on here in this draft.
Yeah, they have experience playing the super late game comps, you know, delaying power spikes with Tia, but also the more rotation-focused mid-game comps. So again, it's going to be the mid-game flavor here. It's going to be rotating, ensuring that Dr. Mundo can never get to that 3-4 item phase where the team comp might fall apart. And given their recent performances, I can't argue with it. I think IG have got them in the champ select here.
And we'll have to see. But King, I mean, do you feel like for them, as far as they're concerned, that the Mundo is the key to their late game?
I mean, I think so. I think Dr. Mundo against a Corki, you know, against a Triforce user, not a tank buster there, it's going to be very difficult for them to get through. And of course, Mundo does also outscale the Aurelia, so Mundo holds the key to them in the late game. The early game, it's always about Nidalee. If Nidalee can get really on top of things, can monopolize those objectives, that dragon, it might work out for King, but it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, it will be indeed, so let's get into the game. And welcome onto the Rift, King versus IG, our last match of the week. In fact, it's been one hell of a week 5 here for the LPL, and King and IG are going to play its last 2 games here for this week. King over on the blue side, IG have got on the red, and they would love to continue the streak they started yesterday.
A lot of farming of the jungle expected in the early levels here, so no real need for either team to get aggressive wards down. They're going to be very similar jungle playstyles in the early levels. So right now, very defensive fanning to open up our last series of the week.
It doesn't faze me too much there that sort of expected that we are going to have pretty defensive plot here to start things off. Like we mentioned, lots of mid-game comps have been played on this particular patch, this particular week of the LPL. So having everyone start pretty safe and wanting to make sure their jungle gets secured makes sense. Nidalee especially doesn't really like getting invaded.
Yeah, and the standard lanes, which of course have been wholly non-standard in the LPL this season, may actually be enacted. We do see the top laners at the top. No vertical jungling, at least signal right now. I actually do like Nidalee in a vertical jungling situation just because she has such a fast jungle clear that a second person accentuates it. And then if it's a damage roam, say for example the Aurelia with Equilibrium Strike, if she was on the King side, then you can get the very good level 2, level 3 ganks coming in. But still, left to our own devices, a fast clearer, so it makes sense. Standard lanes at the start.
Yeah, MLXG going to go ahead and start on the red buff. Actually, might even start on the big buff and give the Krugs over to Lamb and Wish. So we'll see how that goes there. Cacao, though, going to start his Krugs into his red buff. So going to be a bit more of a standard start. Kitty's actually looking for a bit of an invade.
Yeah, just trying to harass them off the golems here. If they really delay the Krugs, it becomes just that little bit less advantageous to take them in a 2v2.
And this is impressive. This is solo here. Kitty's actually warded that buff there. Looks like with a green ward, actually. So a very long ward there. Going to have the time. MLXG getting very low. That's going to force them off there as well. Really nice play from Morgana. Oh, Nidalee does good smite. Every time. Every time.
You have to remember that smite does restore the health, so it's slightly less risky than it looks like. Nidalee and her low base stats, I also kind of had the heart palpitations, but these guys are practice. We're not going to see any excuse to red. Fingers crossed this season.
Well, we'll have to see. Assassin versus Rookie, though. Really good pressure early on by Azir, chunking out Rookie, but Rookie answers back with a nice Orb of Deception. So, again, skill matchup is the name of the game whenever an Ari is on screen, and I'm sure Rookie's got this one covered.
I mean, Ari, I really do like her against these more immovable carries. Xerath, in particular, is always activating those line skill shots, rooting himself during the queue. Makes sense to go for Ari there, avoid the skill shots, and the charms come in. In the bot lane, IG do hit level 2 first. That's the advantage of harassing them off the Krugs, exiting lane Kitties, but still actually having more experience than Lame and Whoosh in this lane.
Yeah, really smart stuff there from Kitties. Able to keep that lane kind of even here. And again, another nice binding onto Whoosh. The damage going to come in. Frostbomb getting blocked there by Lame, and Kitties could be in trouble. Actually, the passive going to get procced there. Whoosh gets the stun. And a nice trade back there from King's bottom lane.
And the Braum passive actually came up really big in the trading. Higher health values on King, so they're winning this bottom lane, at least at this very early stage.
Well, XG again making me scared, but he's absolutely on top of it, like you mentioned. There's Pokemon in towards the top side now, getting the early edge that we sort of expect here in this matchup. Sky's pretty happy just to stay back and farm. And for me, personally, Mundo has been maybe a silent overachiever here in the LPL so far. The few times we've seen him, he's looked very strong.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Mundo never really saw dramatic nerfs. He just kind of fell out of the meta as picks rotated. I believe it was Spawn in the last game talking about how Vi was popular, which made Morgana popular, and the flow of picks is kind of the same flavor with the Mundo. When he makes sense, when he can be babied through the early game, we always know what he can do in the late game. There are just certain champions, these Triforce users like Corki, that cannot bust through Mundo. So when Sivir and Corki are the flavor carries of the day, what more man than Dr. Mundo to take to the top lane? Just give him a little bit of time to get building up, and he can not even have to itemize for the armor. He can focus on, say, the Spirit Visage first and against the double AP, and then come up extremely relevant. It's still very hard for a non-auto attacker, for example, an AD caster like Corki, to break through Dr. Mundo.
Yeah, and I've definitely noticed that the tanks seem to be pervading a bit more of that top lane, especially. It's funny that you mentioned that because Pokemon here from IG, the quintessential tank player, has really just started getting better and better. And yes, he's been playing much better, but it might even just be the meta shifting a little bit more towards what he likes to be playing.
Yeah, the double AP, look, it's still popular. It still can prevail and be very, very strong. But Aurelia, she kind of pervades over every meta, so always a safe pick to go with.
Always better nerf Aurelia here. Is Pokemon actually going to get traded back here by Sky? Good cleavers coming through the back there, but Pokemon will just chug the charge of his flask and be okay. 10 CS behind, actually. Pokemon a little rough there in that matchup. Assassin in the mid as well, even there against Rookie, who's just making sure the wave holds and doesn't crash into his turret. And even there in the mid, bot lane is very even as well. So as we kind of expected, sort of a quiet early game here. Both junglers farming up pretty hard.
And of course, because we do have standard 2v2 lanes in the bottom, less chance for that early dragon to be taken down. You're realistically not going to be able to have two people exit bottom lane and pick up an unanswered objective. Lane swaps, they're the things that open up early dragons. No lane swap means that the objective snowball is going to be later.
Yeah, and for IG, we'll probably have to wait for some ultis from Rookie and Kakao to really get in there. And for King, they're probably just waiting to, maybe get the Sivir BF, so start pushing out those lanes and open up that space for themselves that way.
I mean, the big purchase here for Sky on this Mundo is the Giant Spell. That's when he really starts to be able to utilize all the health regen from the passive for his ultimate to become useful, to actually be able to fight against Aurelia. He actually goes up and picks it now, but in the mid lane, Assassin's eating a lot of damage.
Yeah, Rookie going aggressive, misses the charm. The Rookie dives back in and does get the kill. Flashes out, spear goes wide, and first blood Ari.
You can never expect a solo kill in the mid lane. Nidalee watching with aghast from the Raptors there. Rookie, we bigged him up in the pregame. He's showing why. Solo kill on Assassin.
Yeah, and a lot of that pre-live nerf Ari coming there as well. One of those things, he missed the charm, but still more than enough damage with all the skills to be able to pick up that kill.
Just so much more mobility. The kind of the little thing. We talk about the Q allowing her to dodge skill shots, the fact that it can be used defensively. The other simple fact is that if you Q and move forward, you're going to get that extra auto attack in. Your trade's going to be that much stronger. She's just that much more deadly. Sure, we're only talking 45, 50 damage. But in a trade against a barrier Azir, it's relevant.
Yeah, an Assassin. In fact, they both used all of their spells, so that little bits of damage certainly mattered there. An Assassin, only level 5 as well, unfortunately for him. Going to feel remiss that he couldn't hit the experience. Rookie must have had some pretty nice wave control to make sure he manipulated that experience lead.
And he's going to be working towards Morellonomicon, the much more aggressive option in the mid lane. Azir, he could go either way with these items, but he might want to start itemizing Magic Resistor. He's going for a world of pain from Rookie.
Yeah, it's funny. If IG are a changed team, I feel like Rookie might be the one that never really changes. He's still got some aggressive flair to him as a player. It's not Zatai, it's not going all in all the time, but Rookie still loves especially to bully his enemy laner.
He's still a very young player. We kind of forget about that with Rookie. He came through the Korean scene last year really broke through, of course, hit notoriety right at the end when the Cater Rolster arrows took down the OGN Winter. But, you know, he looks to Cacao for a lot of his inspiration. He's young, he's in a new country. He's really starting to settle in as we move into week 4, week 5. Not that he was poor before, but he's really starting to become the player that's so hyped in the mid lane.
Yeah, MLX Judo's rotated in towards the top side. Pokemon can be in trouble. Dust Flash Jack. Good dodge to the spear. The Cleaver, though, will hit. They're going to look for the dive. Pokemon pops the ulti. Transcendent Blade's going to keep him just healthy enough, and misdive there by King.
No ability to hunt Pokemon. Was not able to hit either the trap or the spear there in Italy. So they have to back away, even though Sky took so many turret hits.
Rookie roaming here there as well. Does get hit by the Cleaver. Going to try and land the charm. Lights it up. Almost hits MLXG, but a good flash from Sky keeps him safe.
Yeah, good play there. Good roam timing from Rookie. Doesn't lose much in the mid lane. Actually has Vi opening time. Cacao killing that pink ward. Just heaping the pressure onto Assassin despite the fact that he exited lane.
Yeah, and again, Rookie, what he's known for, he likes to move up in his lane, get ahead, and then move out of it and try and roam there as well. So Cacao covering nicely, but Rookie really, especially on this Ari, on pace to make this game very strong for IG, but laying down the bottom. Going to get the passive onto Kitty's Woosh. We'll move in there as well. Dodge attempted, but not quite there. Black Shield very nicely timed though, and Kid going to try and turn it around, but Lamb is going to be the exhaust there as well. Kid so low there, doesn't quite take the winner's bite. Kid gets aggressive, tries to kill Lamb. Woosh there can't actually move the fastest run, but Woosh gets a solo kill, or 2v2 kill out onto Kid, and Kitty's might go down as well, but Kick out here. Dunks him, but the double kill does come through.
That was an insane little duel right there. Kind of mistakes on both sides. Lamb unwittingly taking the second turret hit, actually baited the IG bottom lane into giving a double kill to Wushin. Wushin has been one of the shining members of King. He's always impressed, whether it's been in defeats or victories. So for him to start with 2 kills in this lane after such a balanced early laning phase is massive for King.
Yeah, and you can see some points starting to open up on the map now as well. The mid lane for IG, and now the bottom up for King. So things looking decent. Berserker Greaves, BF Sword, very nice pickups there for the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, the Berserker Greaves, you might think, okay, why not working towards a bit more flat AD, but just the ability to keep proccing that passive, the fleet of foot, to get those extra hits in. He doesn't have quite the same right-click wave clear as if he got even just a longsword, but it will help him in any sort of trades. And judging by that last set, there's going to be plenty of trades in this bottom lane.
Yeah, MLX Judo soloing up the Dragon here as well. Very strong timing. No vision forthcoming from IG, and a steal away there. 10 minutes almost on the dot there.
Now, when we move to 5.3, we'll be seeing a little bit less of this jungle Nidalee because you won't have the double proccing of Cougar abilities whenever you hunt. That's been the big thing that's really promoted Nidalee jungle. Hunting minions and the monsters was the first in the open Nidalee jungle, but the clear speed is so fast because you're able to do that double rotation of spells, and even Dragon is just no match for her in the early levels.
No, we've seen, I think, Dandy doing a very creative level 3 solo, I believe it was, but that was a very comfortable 10-minute Dragon there for MLXG. So advantage there. King there actually evening up that gold lead a bit as well. IG were about 1,000 ahead earlier, but it's only 300 or so now. Kid also going to clear out the Scuttle Crab, take out a bit of extra XP, and say, thanks, jungler.
Thanks indeed. I mean, the Murlonomicon already finished for a rookie in the mid lane. It's clearly significantly ahead. Assassin's actually opted in to go for the Murlonomicon as well. On this patch, only 400 gold between those two items. Obviously, being able to itemize in the extra 25 magic discs could be very useful in this mid lane. I guess the result, even though he has his summoners back up, he's going to have to play very defensive. I mean, he had to already. There's still Cacao and Vi to think about.
Yeah, I mean, Cacao's only had the one ulti down the bottom, which was basically just for a trade, but still looking very threatening on this ulti when it comes back up, and it seems like we're back now. So if Cacao does want to make another move, he's going to use in that ult, and he's already got the Warrior in chat, plus the Moby Boots done. Yeah,
Assassin going to play so defensive in that mid lane. And bottom, more trades exist. I mean, the game's pretty quiet, which on the one hand suits King because Dr. Mundo's getting closer and closer to what looks like a Warmog's first, so going really old school with that pickup. Warmog's is very strong at the moment, 800 health, and it's worth noting he's against a Corki here, so a lot of mixed damage. Itemizing that flat health gives him a lot of options against burst, and because the game is so rotational nowadays, the fact that they've buffed the health regen when you're out of combat so significantly, it just gives Mundo more options when he's rotating between lanes.
Yeah, and that mixed damage that you mentioned, going to help in his lane match up there with Pokemon as well. So strong stuff there early on for Sky. Again, love the Mundo pick here from King, but Cacao going to go fishing in the mid lane potentially for a gank, but Assassin seems to be playing pretty far back. Rookie pushing him in fairly aggressively though.
I mean, he's just basically trying to help Rookie open up a massive CS lead in mid. it's already something that's going to be happening because of the Merlinomicon start, just because of the fact that he's already got the solo kill. But I mean, the Vi pressure just multiplies that effect. He basically has to stand in his minion wave or next to his turret consistently in this game.
Yeah, well, actually down the bottom, Kid could be in trouble, but does Valkyrie out. The Black Shield going to help there as well, but Whoosh and Lamb really bullying the bottom lane a little now. The CS lead opening up now on Whoosh. It's getting closer to about 10 CS ahead. And you mentioned the jungle there for Kakao. Adorable play by Assassin, getting in with his Sand Sword just to make sure he safely took the Raptors, because Kakao and Rookie were both waiting to kill him.
Yeah, at every option, he's going to be in there, and Assassin has to be so careful. It's only an 8 CS advantage, which is very good play from Assassin, given the fact that he's died especially. But he just understands that if he stands away from his ranged minions, the Charm or the Assault and Battery, he will be dead.
Yeah, we've certainly had some quieter games, like you mentioned. This one very even right now. And in one ways, yes, that favors King with their scaling, but IG, never count them out at this stage of the game, because they're always looking to go strong. And we've had so many strong mid games that they look like quiet games, but there are no truly quiet games.
And I'm not willing to commit to say, all right, get to late game, Mundo will be the difference. Mundo will be a very significant factor in this game, but it's like saying Corki's an early game carry. We've seen Corki's out-damage other traditional late game hyper carries consistently based on positioning, based on just the ability to burst down and communicate target selection from your teammates. It's still a very good late game. It's not like Aurelia's weak in the late game. It's just Mundo has a lot of options against Corki and Aurelia specifically.
So we'll see. Bottom lane there for King looking good. Tower taking a decent amount of damage, and Kid again forced back against it. Just going to try and see us where he can. About a third of the HP taken down, and Kid will clear those minions out, so he's going to be moving in towards his Trinity Force. But this Sivir is firing, and Whoosh going for a bit of a greedier build now, actually. BF Sword Pickaxe and now an Avarice Blade.
And it's actually pervading across the map here for King. As we see, MLXG is actually going for just the straight Magus enchantment, no mana regen. So his jungle clear is actually going to be very based around Cougar abilities, not the ability to proc that hunt a lot, because he'll use a lot of mana trying to clear the waves. So it's almost a snowball build coming out from LXG. A lot of great stats, a very cost-effective item, but if he's not picking up kills, his jungle clear will be significantly impacted.
So we'll see. Nidalee, again, been kind of quiet, but Kakao and MLXG pretty comfortable just to farm the map up now. So Kakao looking in the mid, doesn't find it, an Assassin again. Very aware play here, despite having, I believe, 1 to 0 wards there to be able to spot that.
He's just playing consistently on the back foot, whether it's the skill shots, whether it's the jungle pressure. Every time he tries to put down a wave, it's been cleared by the Pinks and by Kakao. He's just giving the drive-bys in the middle, almost like he's Nunu, and saying, all right, I'm going to chomp up this ward, and you can kind of deal with the pressure that this darkness pervades. Yeah,
so impressive, though, that Assassin's been able to survive, apart from the solo kill, actually, as MLXG pops his way down towards the bottom, but won't go in for anything there. Whoosh again returning now 2-1-0 on the Sivir with 130 CS, 33 CS, sorry, really opening a nice lead up against Kid Corki.
Just some disgusting items coming out of Dr. Mundo on the top. Already a Warmogs and a Kindle Gem on top. You know that Spirit Visage is coming. Most of Corki's damage in the early game specifically is that magic damage, and Mundo's already sitting on just a complete colossal amount of health. So he'll be very relevant. Be interesting to see if King is wanting to commit to contesting this dragon. Almost level 11 is Mundo when his ult really starts to get going, really starts to be beneficial for use in a fight. It'd be risky, but it's an option for King to try and contest this next dragon.
It'd be interesting to see as well. I mean, they did get the first one, so they can feel a little bit safe there, but of course, also have the exact timer. So do they want to go in? Dragon's up 7 seconds now. So if King want to make a move, they're going to have to go now. Pokemon being a little held down. It hasn't finished at Trinity Force. That's quite late.
And in bottom lane, actually, it looks like there's some low health members.
Whoosh actually forced him up the ulti. Kakao tried to find him. Black Shield down there as well, but not enough. And not in range there to pull the trigger on the ulti. So Whoosh will get away, but burns a summoner and an ultimate for it. That might free up enough space for ID to do Dragon.
Yeah, the ultimate's very important in these skirmishes around Dragon, especially with a big Dr. Mundo. He doesn't have boots yet, but the movement speed from his ultimate and the On the Hunt would have been enough for him to really get in Corki's face. Corki's damage with this Trinity Force is going to be the big factor for King to consider in a dragon fight. So if it was all going on to this super tanky Dr. Mundo, it'd open up a pretty big strategic advantage for King.
Yeah, so we'll see there. Sky was kind of walking down, but is actually warding the top side of the jungle there. So more interested in kind of keeping the lanes down and spotting for that jungler, so we can maybe even keep split pushing there. And IG are going to line themselves up for a first dragon, it looks like here. Lamb's actually very low on the Brom there as well, so IG should have a pretty easy time with this objective.
Lamb tried to clear some wards and, of course, ate a whole load of damage from Trinity Force Corki through the Unbreakable. It didn't matter. He's not really in a position to contest. He could, of course, flash ult and just die in the AoE, But it looks like IG have complete position on this dragon.
Lex G does not find the steal, and Cacao does secure the buff there. So a dragon apiece now between these two teams. Gold basically dead even as well. Sky actually here with Pokemon. Pokemon is clearing out the waves, and Sky pops his ulti and says, yep, not really worried.
He'll be fine. Mundo goes where he pleases. He's just about to have the Warmogs actually activate here. And look, he's at full health. No problem.
Yeah, you can just kind of watch just on the side there. That health rocketed back up after that out-of-combat regen kicked in. And Pokemon having, Sky having the time of his life in the top lane despite the CS disadvantage.
It's, I think, going to be a story of dive in the fight. Irelia, Vi, Ari to some degree, all going to be diving into the backline. How much lifting can Sky do? Because realistically, we have to remember it's a Nidalee jungle. It's not a double dive combo. It's just a single tank here, so it's going to be difficult. They're going to need to hit that poke. They're going to need Assassin to really have a big Emperor's Divide. Liam, of course, a very strong disengaged champion as well. But Sky is going to try and make Kid irrelevant in fights, but the triple dive from IG, especially if they get farmed, is going to be relatively strong on its own.
Yeah, so we're really gearing up for, again, another very strong-looking mid-game, but towers, actually, none of them have dropped yet, so still a very closed map here. Dragon apiece, of course. Baron's actually up in a minute 40 or so, and items still building up. Whoosh not quite done there. Actually does not quite hit the binding. Good spell shield, but wasn't needed. Actually, it was just a bit wide there of that one, and Kitty's returned to the bottom, and Kid really turning on some of the denial there with that Trinity Force. Kind of bullying Sivir now.
The passivity of this game, the passivity of IG recently, again, just something that kind of washes over you and you remember previous games and wonder where that aggressive team has gone. This current team, though, getting great results, still very measured and smart. Finally, the first turret comes down, and it's for IG.
Yeah, great pressure there by Rookie. Again, trying to bully that lane. Eventually pilots that into a turret advantage, but Lamb down the bottom. Going in onto Kid, does get 2 stacks of the passive, but it's not quite enough, and King will back up. Sivir, though, does fight back.
Yeah, I mean, they're still anchored in the bottom, and that's kind of the frustration for Kid. They've been so good at grouping with power spikes, but because it's Sivir we're talking about with plenty of flat AD, clearing waves, they're relegated to having Kid just try and match Wushin in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and Sivir is just so persistent in her push as well. It pretty much never stops, especially with these 2 flat AD items in as well. And it's not going to get any better once Wush has done the Infinity Edge as well. So things looking good here. Still building up all of that gold. Kid maybe looking to go back now, actually. And Wush will rotate in around the side, maybe looking to pressure up another lane. But no, just a couple wards moving down. And Kitty actually has to be careful. Does get tagged by the Brawn passive. Black Shield out. They might be able to save him with the passive. Does get popped. Lamb gonna chase into the ulti just a little wide. And Wush does get the kill. They're trapped under the turret. The Pokemon is coming down. That is a great spell shield, though. And the stun does come in. But Rookie now is going to dive into the backside. Cacao also coming in, just missing the Vault Breaker, but will hit the Assault and Battery. Sky is so tanky on his Mundo, but eventually falls to Rookie.
Pastry time, your first reaction will be to say, where's King? Why is Assassin not rotating? But remember, this is the culmination of 20 minutes of Assassin in the mid lane, being forced to play on the back foot, being consistently drive-by ganks coming through from Cacao. He could never be on the front foot because IG put all their resources in keeping Azir on the back foot. Their result is a very nice rotation to pick some kills up in the bottom lane.
Yeah, really nice teleport there by Pokemon, and Rookie, so much flat damage there with the Death Cap already done. Azir does answer in kind with the turret. That'll be the first there for King. IG, of course, taking 2 with the mid and the... I got trolled. It's an Azir turret every time.
Azir turrets, they are the bane of every caster's existence, but that's definitely one for Corky. Yeah. I caught it on my screen, can confirm.
There we go. Turret has been confirmed. The bottom turret does get filled by IG, and they'll now go up 2-1 in turret series. Assassin will clear some minions out in the mid. Pokemon going to do the same here in towards the top, and that mid game that we talked about here, IG looking to get a little bit stronger now. Rookie really leading the charge there as well.
But Rookie, he was actually positioned towards the bottom lane because look at his item. He's already picked up the Death Cap on his first show round. With the kills, they got the Blasting Wand as well. He actually has a lot of wave clear, and they now do have the option, if they want to move Kid into another lane, pick up this third outer turret, and have Ari clear waves and split push down the bottom lane. Looks like that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, Rookie, they're going to rotate in, and we'll see what goes on. Cacao, actually pretty interesting jungle item there. More of Malmortius has been completed.
More Malmortius. Of course, you're going to take a lot of incidental damage in team fights from the Dr. Mundo. Then you've got the double AP coming out of the jungle and from Azir. So it's a viable pickup. It's a strange one. It's pretty gold efficient. I mean, Hex Drinker, its former component, is one of the most gold efficient items in the game. It just, look, he wants to be fighting all the time. It's not really realistic to pick up a Trinity Force and Vi in a competitive game. But the more Malmortius gives him that defensive flavor and still plenty of damage.
This is strong stuff there from Cacao. Pokemon returning to the base. They're going to look to shop up and probably going to buy, Spectre Scale. They're done up, so but we're looking to take a little bit less damage from the Dr. Mundo there. Kakao clearing out the Scotto Crab as well. IG continuing to try and get Visionary, and like you mentioned, Rookie anchored to the bottom lane now. King really pressed up against basically their side of the jungle.
But IG just, look, these rotations, these movements of their champions, just so intelligent, you know, noticing, all right, we've got the death cap on Rookie. It gives him very good wave clear on this Ahri. Move them into bot. Now we can use the Trinity Force power spike. We were just talking about the fact that Kid was forced to group, but they've got the answer to all these questions we're posing to them. They've got the answer to a lot of what the enemy team has been posing against them in their last few series. They're just really starting to become a very smart, proactive team.
Yeah, really strong stuff. Assassin does clear out the wards with the Sand Soldier, so IG trying to get vision there over in the enemy jungle, but it is being thwarted a bit by the sweepers that are over on King's side. Dragon back up in 20 seconds now as well. And IG looking very strong to take that objective uncontested. The Mundo, unfortunately, still powering up, and that's kind of the story here of King's lineup.
Yeah, we saw Corki was actually positioning to back. Bit strange timing. We'll have to stay around. IG looks strong in the Dragon fight, and they're going to initiate.
Kakao going straight in there onto Assassin. The ulti not enough. Kakao plays that beautifully, but everyone else going to dive in. Pokemon is coming over the top as well, and the Azero actually did enough that they managed to kill Kakao, but Liam did go down, but a decent trade for King.
The trade is very good for King because they take the jungler for just giving up the life of their support. It stops IG from competing for a dragon. They've been set up for so long. I was looking at the minimap. If you look in the minimap, their creeps are pushing basically on the inner turret of King. They would have lost so much if they tried to contest a long, drawn-out dragon fight, but there's no dragon real pressure now that Vi is dead.
This guy actually gets chunked down there as well, but he does have his ulti. Burning Agony actually still running in the Warmog's region, still kicking in, so that second dragon going to go over to King very quickly. Nidalee does so much damage to that objective.
Yeah, I mean, Kakao just didn't have the full idea that, of course, diving in, I understood why he went for it. He had a lot of damage. He almost got the solo kill, but you have to remember the Emperor's Divide, especially in that spot, it took up the whole area, such that the only flash that could come out was Pokemon over the Raptor wall. That was the only way they could have a secondary diving threat there. So again, excellent ultimate position for Assassin. That's definitely not where you want to fight a grouped fight for Invictus Gaming.
Rookie down towards the bottom now, still pushing a little too, 39 CS, as you're actually slightly ahead there. Assassin has gotten some time with them midway, pushing back and forth towards him, and he's going to be able to pick up his next major item as well. Liam, in the meantime, going to clear out these creeps as best he can as Brom, and 2 items done for Woosh as well. So things for King now looking up after that little exchange.
It's just an incredibly greedy build coming from MLXG. He's actually gone for the death cap second. It makes his poke hit harder, it makes his heal coming out of the primal surge very respectable. But it's one of those situations where kind of one of the issues with Nidalee is that she's so good going forward and offers so little when you're engaged upon. So again, going forward, she puts down some poke, she's got low cooldowns coming from the Magus enchantment. Once she gets below half mana bar in a team fight, she's going to be essentially useless if IG really monitor that and try and keep her under control. So I mean, there's a lot of potential snowball coming from this build, but no mana regen whatsoever. I mean, Tia might be too much of risk. It might be too much invested into just mana regen, but this is a risky build coming out from MLXG.
Yeah, and kind of speaking of builds, moving down the Kid now as well. Picked up the BT for himself, so looking good there. Rookie actually going for a third item, Abyssal Scepter, so very aggressive choice there on his Ahri. And of course, Pokemon still building up. Got his Water Smell, built in there as well towards a probable Randuin. So Aurelia looking tanky.
I do like the aggressive choice of the Abyssal Scepter over perhaps a Zhonya's, just because with triple dive coming out of IG, very unlikely to be the sole focus fire from King. So you can afford to go that more aggressive option. Still gives some magic resist. But again, the dueling pressure of Rookie right now, whether he wants to split push, whether they look to get a pick, deletion coming out of this Ahri.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, both teams have a lot of very strong damage potential. You mentioned the Nidalee before. It is a greedy build there from MLXG, but if he ever finds someone and gets a spear, they die very quickly. So both teams kind of dancing very carefully here in this stage of the game. No major objectives really here to take. Baron is one, but it's very hard to just kind of face tank it here with both teams having fairly good team fight at this point. So IG, despite the lead, going to play very patiently again.
It does make Nidalee effectively a pick champion, which for a champion with no CC is probably just something that you don't necessarily have a complete thought about if you're IG. So they do have to really respect the damage coming out of Nidalee. It's just, you know, she's at half mana now. Couple of spears in a team fight, maybe a heal. She'll be completely Ermin, only in Cougar form. Once you move into Cougar form, sure, your abilities don't cost any mana. But then again, you're a melee champion that's built full damage.
And Rookie down the bottom, going to go in onto Woosh there. Does use the ulti land, they're going to dive back in. Double teleports coming through his own. Rookie just survives there. Both tellies get cancelled as well, and Whoosh and Rookie live.
Everyone's bluffing with the teleports, but it was necessary coming out from both Pokemon and Sky. Sky's very tanky, but wow, takes a huge burst of damage.
So much damage. Pokemon gonna dive in now as well. Sky's popped the ulti, but he's got Equilibrium Strike. Can he fight off the damage? He flashes out. They're gonna keep going in, but no more gap closes available, and Sky gonna run away like only a Mundo can. But Kid actually gonna join the party now as well. Sky's still pretty tanky, but the ulti's run out. Kid gonna follow in. Pokemon with the next gap close, and Kid gets the kill.
Patient time. It's insane how much damage Denting Blows was doing. It's actually already maxed through. You look at Mundo's build, no armor to speak of. Shredding the health on the third auto was Cacao. It must have caught even Sky off guard. He's very tanky to, say, a Corki. It's very hard for Corki to bust a tank, even if they don't itemize armor. He would not have been expecting that coming out of Cacao.
Really impressive stuff, and we looked at Vi as a champion that certainly picked up a lot of popularity. That has to do with, I think, that passive you mentioned right there, the ability Denting Blows. It's not just good for objectives, but it's great for champions sometimes.
Okay, and this is, of course, 5.2, so Baron damage has been relatively nerfed. Cacao's very low, but King have no idea about this. They rushed down Baron at 28 minutes.
That was one fast Baron there as well. You mentioned the Vi already can do great neutral objective damage, and Kid no slouch either on the Corki right now. So very good Baron there by IG, and they rocket up to 4,000 gold ahead.
Crazy power spikes across the board. Getting tanky Pokemon's got a bit of the armor and the magic resist. The Trinity Force and the Bloodthirst are completed on Corki. IG are looking for a fight. They've got the Baron buff now. They can continue to control waves. Pokemon still split pushing, even though his teleport's down, I believe. And Dragon's a minute away. IG in full control of this game.
Yeah, I mean, it took, a couple of fights back and forth, but after that great pressure from Cacao, that parlayed into the Baron, and all of a sudden, things looking really up here for the IG lineup. King certainly have some fight here in this game, but they're still sort of scaling up. 3 items done now for the Sivir as well. Mundo getting very tanky, but not quite at his 3 items either. Azir's sort of 2.5, I guess, if you want to call the Stinger half an item. Zonya's great there, of course, but IG just have more power right now, and that's what matters.
It's just so interesting how both Azir and Xerath are so completely undone with these Ahri picks. Ahri offers assassination options in lane, can counter push very well against these long range push champions, and then transitions into the mid game just that much better than Azir and Xerath do. In the late game, sure, it's risky to go in with that Spirit Rush and do damage in just 600 range, but she just pilots and controls the mid game so strong compared to the mid lane as we've seen commonly in the LPL this season.
And that's sort of the nice thing about the new patch coming in. Things are opening up now. We saw almost exclusively Azir Xerath felt like for the first few weeks, but Ahri very strong on this patch in particular, and Rookie never want to shy away from a strong champion.
You should never leave open a 5th pick red side Ahri to Rookie, to Cool. I mean, Cool getting it on the blue side first pick was a surprise as well. There's these noted Ahri players who in previous metas excelled on that champion, and they're getting it available to them, and teams are paying for that.
Yeah, Cacao are going to dive into the Dragon there again. The Vi Denting Blows doing so much damage here. Pokemon eventually will join in. Rookie's helped out as well, and this Dragon just gets destroyed by IG. That's their second.
Yeah, it's second across the board, so at least they don't have a massive Dragon timer to think about for now, King. They've done a very good job securing the first 2 with their rotations, but King is so far on the back foot, you can feel it. And I mean, Nidalee's doubled down. She's going all in on the damage.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we've seen from a lot of jungle Nidalees, and it's just not always paid off. You kind of have to get ahead early. It's sort of weird because it doesn't feels like it fit that well with the rest of King's comp.
I mean, at the end of the day, it almost feels like she's demanding blue buffs, because if they're looking to siege, like she's got a very strong siege build here, but realistically with no mana items, sieging isn't an option. Assassin on this Azir will go through a lot of mana himself. It's just a bit confused to me. You've got 2 champions here demanding blue buff, 2 champions. I mean, Nidalee especially looks best when she's going forward. It feels like maybe they should adapt the build to be a bit more defensive. And we saw Loveling, for example, opting into a Banshee Veil after getting picked by an Ahri too many times. Ahri has so many options here. Obviously very hard to pick Lucian with the Spell Shield, but either Nidalee or Assassin's Azir will be instantly deleted by this Ahri.
Yeah, and Rookie's just gotten stronger as well. 4 items done now, including that Void stuff, and Rookie really respecting his mobility on this champion. Never upgraded the boots, doesn't need to.
It's such a different frontline coming from IG. That's the issue here, King, is that they can bluff aggression, they can stand there throwing spears, but they got massive magic resist coming from Pokemon and Cacao on the front line there for IG. Even the Abyssal Scepter gives Rookie options. The dive has magic resist and does a lot of damage, and the frontliner King, barring Mundo, is very squishy.
Yeah, Rookie hit to spear, but that Abyssal Scepter actually doing work there on the magic resist front. Doesn't take too much damage. Buck Shield there as well, going to help him out. And IG just going to starve King out of vision on this top side of their jungle. Now rotating in, going to melt the tier 2 turret there. That goes down, and I believe that is all 6. No, never mind, just the 4 turrets there from IG. Azir's Sun turrets once again much more powerful than I am.
It's been a long weekend there, Patient Time. Azir hasn't had your number, at least in this last game. I mean, you look at the wards down on the map. There's some very good pink defensive warding down by King. They do have access to their monster camps, perhaps more than you might feel given how this game's gone. It feels like IG have a complete stranglehold on the game. But King's vision is certainly not letting them down yet.
No, and they've got a good comp here as well. They just sort of have to find a good spot for it. And like a lot of team comps, King's is a little bit better when going forward, and that's really what they want to do. Pop the Sivir ulti, get the Mundo in there, really get Azir in close and try and lock someone up, but right now it's just not been working. Rookie's dancing circles around them.
I mean, it's kind of a confused comp if you think about it, though, because, I mean, Sivir pops her ult, and, like, obviously Skye will head straight in, but basically everyone else, barring Braum, wants to be at the back. Like, Azir is much stronger when he's being able to control space in front of him. Because he doesn't want to be dived upon and necessarily assassinated, but he can control a lot of space. He's very strong defensively. Nidalee wants to be poking and never wants to really be fighting in melee range. So they'll pop that Sivir ult. I just don't really know what the situation is where their comp really is played to its full potential. Maybe if they were way ahead and poking around a turret and able to disengage with Sivir ult and the Braum ultimate as well, I could understand, but that's not how this game is planned out, and it feels like IG have so many offensive and defensive options with the comp they've picked, and King are kind of tunneled into a comp that doesn't really offer much 33 minutes into this game.
And I have to say, Papa Smithy, I feel like we say that quite a lot whenever we see Jungle Nidalee.
It does work sometimes so well. Kakao piloted to great effect. If we actually saw, I forget who played it, but a very balanced teamfight comp with Nidalee as the sole poker, you know, Lissandra mid, and say, for example, the Nidalee. When Nidalee offers something unique to the comp, it can be strong, but for a champion that's so strong as solo queue, for a champion that's so unique and actually provides a surprising amount of pressure for just a damage ganker, in these sort of games where the lanes kind of play around defensively, the game kind of lulls out for the first 20-25 minutes, there just is that potential that even though she does a lot of damage, it just doesn't matter.
We'll have to see here as well. Cooler Moodsman out of there for MLXG. Unfortunately, not really going to help the mana problems, but definitely going to have plenty of spears to throw out there as well. Lamb clearing out wards on this Braum now as well. IG likely looking at Baron again, as it's going to be back up in 40 seconds. Dragon going to follow about a minute after that as well. And Pokemon content and split pushing down the bottom lane.
I mean, the big issue here is the Sivir has to build full damage. She's not in a position to build tanky items. And the Sivir is realistically going to be assassinated by one of Kakao, Pokemon, and Rookie. There's so much dive there that Sivir will die, short of perhaps a Guardian Angel, an early Banshee Veil for the second Spell Shield option. And Kid is going to be so safe in the backline here. There's just no real backline assassination threat, barring just the most fortuitous spear of all time coming out of Nidalee.
Well, we'll have to see here. Rookie really zoning people out there with his Ari. Kind of throwing charms back and forth. Does hit a spear, but a good black shield there by Kitty's going to reduce a lot of that damage. And again, the Abyssal Scepter doing work. I mean, MLXG is throwing spears here, but IG just going to take out the pink wards here. And Nidalee on top of ward, not going to be able to do a whole lot more. Pokemon still with the teleport, moving in towards the bottom side of the map as well. And ID just making sure they have exact vision around the Baron.
Yeah, the split push continues from Pokemon. The CS value is high across the board. None more so than Assassin. He has a lot of CS, but still, barring the one excellent defensive Emperor's Divide, been basically a non-factor this game. There's still plenty of time for that to change. King are very farmed, but we're still waiting for that big team fight between these two teams.
Pokemon actually going to telly in around the side as well. There's Kakao going in. Again goes over the ulti. Pokemon is right in the back line there as well. Just going through. Kills MLXG on his own. Rookie dives in the back for the double there as well. And such great play there. Now Skye going to get locked up as well. Forced to flash out over the wall. And that was brilliantly executed by Invictus Gaming.
The flank engage from Rookie was amazing. Able to escape the ward coverage, get a double assassination in the back line. And that's what I'm saying about IG's comp. They can come into a fight from different angles. They can engage from the front. They have so many different flexible options. Nidalee has one mode. It's throwing spears and going in if she hits one. When she's engaged upon in a flank engage like that, she offers nothing.
Assassin got to be careful. Dragon does not joke around with the damage. Will get it, though. So a very nice trade there for King. They'll pick their third crucial Dragon up there, but that's not the best consolation prize at this point. IG with the Baron going to shove down mid.
I mean, third Dragon buff is excellent for map rotations, but I mean, King haven't been rotating to any of these neutral objectives. It's been so long since they picked up a big objective. We're going to see the replay here. You have to watch Rookie in the backline. He's not on screen right now. You see a very even fight. And then MLXG's instantly dead to the flank engage coming out from Nidalee, from the Ahri right there. The fight continues, but with those threats, with MLXG, so much gold, so much damage items built up on that Nidalee, she just offers so little when the flank engage is coming in. Flexibility, not there from the Nidalee.
And that's, I think, the best way to describe her is that she's very powerful, but maybe a bit narrow here. And time again, apart from a few different games here the weekend, that seems to be the story of Jungle Nidalee. And Ahri, maybe the best performing champion in this game for IG, for Rookie. Maybe the complete opposite. Very versatile, very powerful. Gives you a lot of options in a lot of different situations.
And any champion that you can blind pick on blue side and be kind of happy in any matchup is powerful. And of course, Ahri's been buffed to really cement that status as a blocker pick, as a safe pick. We say skill matchup. She can lose any matchup, but she wins much more often, especially on this patch, than she loses.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're just the 55% in every matchup, that's still good. You're still technically ahead in all of those matchups.
You win 55% of the time. It's simple mathematics there. It looks good.
It does look great here. We have had a pause, but we should be bobbing back into the game any moment now. Seems like whatever they had going on has been sorted out here. And IG still looking strong. Still very measured play. Still very controlled and very patient, but playing like a team. That's the thing that is the hallmark of all of these great teams and the top teams, especially in the LPL. When they are playing, they play together.
Yeah, and it's, again, proactive teams have had so much more success than reactive teams. King, once you opt into that Dr. Mundo, there'll be those odd games where it really pays off, where Dr. Mundo's the difference. We saw that when Starhorn Royal Club 5th picked the Dr. Mundo that completely undid their enemy team's comp. He got to late game, and they won the game off it. But in situations like this, when the game is played around Dr. Mundo, the fact Dr. Mundo is just huge in terms of items, it just doesn't pay off. And the Nidalee and the Dr. Mundo are kind of the two outside picks coming out from King, and both of them are a miss.
Well, IG here with the Baron buff now as well. Almost 10,000 gold in the lead as well. Knocking down most of the turrets. Still got the tier 2 in the bottom to take if they want it, as far as easy turrets go. But going to move in for the next one series. I'll split up, and looks like maybe 1-3-1. Just get all of the Baron buff onto as many creeps as possible.
Yeah, they have the short range from Corki, but of course, if they can get a pick, they train down turrets with all the buffs they've picked up and the double Trinity Force they have. So they're looking mostly for the pick. You can see some very aggressive pink wards. You know that's what IG is all about, catching a pick in transition. But with the 5th Dragon, slightly harder than normal to do that.
So Baron buffs here for the tier 2. IG will take the easier of the turrets left for them to take. And Pokemon is going to face take a bunch of damage. Not worried too much. And Kid just ripping through structures at this point.
Yeah, they just continue to push out. That's the last of the outer turrets, I believe, down. 9 turrets, but of course 6 of those are the outer turrets. 3 Azir turrets to throw off poor mate Pastry Time over here.
I'm telling you, man. Azir is the hard counter to Shoutcasters, I can tell you that much. The Sky does get locked up there by Equilibrium. So Rookie with a bit of poke. Assassin going to answer back with some Sand Soldiers, but IG still moving in with the pressure here. And I see a Chalice there in Kitty's inventory. I wonder if we'll see the IG special today.
I mean, the Banner of Command would be so impressive here as well, as we see the Siege Minion actually did most of the damage to the turret at that situation. Corki finds it hard to get the big orders in, but Siege Minion doing it for him.
Siege Minion doing work here for IG. As that Kid, needs a bit of help. Siege Minion going to help him out there with the Baron buff, and Rookie going to throw Pepperk in. Lamb doing a good job blocking a lot of this damage, but that turret's got basically no health left. Does get taken out, and King, no real options left here. Don't want to fight RG 5v5, although Kid is just a little low. Maybe they'll look in. If MLXG can land a few spears or Sky can get some cleavers, they might be able to pick someone off. Never mind Cacao, they're going to go deep in on MLXG. The ulti, they're going to move in, but they're going to move through it. Cacao, just so tanky, but does actually get killed there. Not quite tanky enough. Rookie gets exhausted, forced to dash out. Layham so low, but the rest of King are rushing in, and Kitty's now low as well. Their Pokemon forced to flash out there. Woosh going to go in for the next kill. Rookie is so low, goes down there as well. And that was 3 kills for 0. King, answer back.
Once again, Assassin's Emperor's Divide are wonderful. There's no ability for the team to follow in, barring a very awkward flash over the side wall. You cannot flash over that ability, and they're just finding so much difficulty engaging. MLXG is the target, obvious ult target for Assault and Battery. Gets so low, but there's no helpful damage, and they need to really be careful because King's comp is farmed up. it is very strong in these siege potentials, and you can see right now they're going to train through turrets.
Yeah, which actually gets the turret down at the bottom. Finally found that outer turret there for King's third. Make it 4 there as the mid-tier 2 goes down the zone. Let's see that again.
So again, it's a smart engage from Kakao, but the Emperor's Divide just causes so much work. Kakao is completely alone as 2 members come through that slight choke. Rookie takes so much damage just looking for a charm to be relevant in the fight. He dies just looking for a counter pick on MLXG. And King, look, their comp is very solid when they're being engaged upon. So IG need to be careful. They need to get a pick before they try and take these engages, because the Emperor's Divide is just completely splitting the Vi away from her team.
Yeah, and that ulti, which like you mentioned, stopped so many gap closes. I was wondering how the interaction worked, but Assault and Battery seems to go through it, which sounds great in theory, but is really awful in practice as far as ID are concerned.
It's almost like that time you play the jungle Malco and you end up under a turret. It's just that situation where split away from the team. If MLXG is just able to do damage to one target and there's no other diver jumping onto these squishy, high damage members of King's team, King's comp looks great.
It does, and it looked great there. MLXG now in the Italy going to get some vision around the Baron potentially. Does throw a couple wards down there, hops himself back overall. Dragon back in a minute now as well. So both teams going to be looking for their 4th. And, you know, this game, despite the big lead from IG, these neutrals are very important. And if both teams are looking for their 4th Dragon, we could have quite a dramatic end to this game.
It's a big deal that IG are only sitting on 2 dragons. If they were at 4, moving towards 5, and King were the ones that had to engage a fight, their comp just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work on engaging a fight, and they would struggle. But because it's so even, the vision, in fact, is just starting to get swept around the dragon. They're going to work towards getting their 3rd. It's not a big timer until the 4th goes down. They don't want to give away Baron, sure, but you can see every fight where there's terrain around that the Emperor's Divide augments, IG's comp has trouble.
It really does, and you're right. So it is 3-2 dragons in favor of King, who managed to get just a few more there than IG. And I mean, the 4th dragon's even more threatening than for King. If IG were looking to maybe get their 4th and say, okay, give them the 4th, we'll take it then. And then you kind of have a very tense standoff. But King even have the lead there. So playing very defensively, letting IG sort of dictate the game to them. But again, they've got the scaling comp here. They feel at least comfortable dragging out this game. And it's dragged on for a while now.
And IG, you might ask them, okay, so the dive doesn't work. What do they need to do? They need to really work on side lane waves push. They have it coming in the top, but it looks like we're going to see a fight.
Dragon does go there. That's the 4th for King, but Lame could be in trouble. Pokemon and Rookie diving in the back. Pick up Whoosh now. MLXG could be in trouble. Lame in the back. Trapped in there. Does not go down, but Kakao dunks Sky there with the Assault and Battery. Binding. Get a hit in there as well. Spears running back. Sky flashes out. He's so tanky on the Mundo. Regenerating health like absolute crazy. And Pokemon's going to chase him, but I don't think it matters.
Fights in situations like that where the Emperor's Divide does not stop all the threats are totally different. I think Pokemon, I don't know if he has the damage to take down Sky anytime soon, but it's going to go a while.
I mean, they're going to try hit Burning Agony, going to make that slow last a little less long. Sky's regenerating an unbelievable amount of health. His ulti's halfway back off cooldown. He's actually maybe taking a bit too much damage there from his W. Pokemon will eventually chase him down for the kill, but IG are going for Baron.
There's plenty of Baron damage on the other 4 members, but we know how strong Nidalee's poke is. She's not going to stick out ahead. She doesn't know where the wards are, and it should be IG's Baron.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate for King. They could have moved in for at least poke them off the Baron, but instead IG will claim, I believe, their 3rd Baron of this game. So good neutral control there by IG, but King, as we mentioned, did get their 4th Dragon.
Cow smelling around. Assault and Battery has just come back up. The point I was about to make before the fight happened was IG need to get their side waves in control. Rookie was up top trying to do that, trim the wave. That's why it's pushing in so aggressively now. Pokemon's working on pushing the bottom wave there. They've never had all minion waves working in their advantage when they've gone for those sieges, where you have that insurance policy that if they commit to a fight, they're losing a lot to the 6th man, the minions. When IG reset that, when they get on top of that, they should be able to close out this game.
The MLXG power farming the jungle there on Italy kind of demonstrates to you just how much power that champion has.
Yeah, plenty of damage coming out to those minion camps. So much more difficult when you're dealing with killing the champions. It's much easier, again, with the single dive. I don't think we'll see a 3rd fight where Kakao is split away from his team. Those have been the few times when King's comp has really looked like it was functioning and firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and IG now with, taking over the 2/3 of the map, basically, we'll leave King in their 3rd for now. As Rookie now going to rotate in towards the bottom. 5-1-2 on the Sari. 388 CS, not too bad. Got a good amount of damage on us, but At this point, Assassin might just outscale him. 462 CS and an absolute boatload.
And with all the items for this, there's so fewer pinks that you're able to buy and put down on the map. There's 3 around Baron. At the moment, those are irrelevant. They need them in all the transition points between these lanes, or we could have a decisive fight around this inhibitor.
Well, Pokemon going to look aggressive here. Kid going to poke in there as well. Skylar going to throw out some pokes. Nidalee also getting in there with the spears. And IG can't really close here. The Siegemen are going to do some work, but snipes it off. Cool MLXG there with a spear, and we'll reset a little bit.
Another Zia turret falls just to make it 12-4. It's been an exciting game, apparently, in turret score at least.
I believe that is literally more turrets than exist on Summoner's Rift normally. So IG have officially claimed some sort of record on turrets potentially. As Kid with the Black Shield, very safe there. But still, Assassin poking. King have a decent amount of poking. As you said, defensively their comp's not too bad. And Kid takes so much damage.
Assassin is doing so much damage. If you disrespect these soldiers, when you're able to set them up, when there's 2 soldiers ordering the same person, the damage is just disgusting. This, of course, is being modified on 5.3, but in 5.2, you can see IG are really struggling to close out this game.
I mean, struggle is maybe an understatement at this point. They've really not been able to get inside the space. That bottom inhibitor that's been exposed as lame does get crushed down. Good pick there from Rookie. Might set it up, but he's going to go back in as well. Now on top onto MLXG. Almost kills him. Does kill him, actually. Pops us on his Pokemon there on the backline. Cacao gonna dive in there as well. We're going to leave it for now. Assassin used the ulti, and that's all the room that IG need.
For once the turtle fails, it wasn't the massive Emperor's Divide coming out. Double pick comes through from Rookie. IG, it took them about 15 minutes longer than they wanted to, but they're going to win this game.
Yeah, Whoosh gets wrecked there as well, so the rest of them dive in. The ace gets completed. The Nexus turrets fall, and the Nexus follows swiftly after. Invictus Gaming finally break King.
So I was worried that maybe we'd see a different flavor in Invictus Gaming, but again, it's the patient play. Again, it's understanding their power spikes. They didn't get outscaled by the Dr. Mundo. Their multiple engage threats were the real big boon. There was always a potential flank engage coming from Rookie, the linear engage, the assault and battery coming from Vi. And King's comp, it had a lot of answers at the end. It was very difficult for Invictus Gaming to close it out, but it never felt like King could take the game by the grip of their teeth and really try and finish it themselves. They were just sort of delaying the inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, great play from King there, especially towards the late stages of the game. But I think what you're harping on there is that King could never be proactive in that game. That's not a good spot to be in the game of League of Legends. You want to be dictating to your opponent. Sure, if you fall behind, play to your win conditions. And King, their win condition was kind of like, hope IG screw up again, because they just couldn't find any good fights outside of their own base.
And this never was their time that all those damage items from MLXG paid off. There was never that time when they were getting the huge poke and able to take a turret off it, just like Gragas ultimates around a turret would have been in the past. You could see the flavor of what they tried to do, but it just never came together on the Rift this game.
No, and a strong performance there from IG and King. We'll see if they can answer back. Game 2 and our last game of the week is coming back after this short break.